Hello, welcome to the Star Spangled Sit-Down. I'm your host, Bobby Adelson Jr., the Public Affairs Officer right here at the U.S. Embassy in Kingston, Jamaica. We're really excited for the show today because I have Gillian Jackson. Jillian is a research and data analyst and a financial blogger. Her blog is called Sensibility, Financial Sensibility. Love the name. I love a good pun. Jillian is also an alum of the Fulbright Graduate Student Program. Thank you for being on the show today.
Thank you for having me, Bobby.
So let's talk first about the Fulbright Graduate Student Program. When did you go and what did you study?
I did my Fulbright Graduate Program in 2011.
Okay.
I was in the state of Nebraska. So Nebraska is smack in the middle of America. If you close your eyes and put your finger on the map, Nebraska is right in the middle. So I went for 2 years and I studied actuarial science. So it has to do with risk and insurance and a lot of math.
Right.
Yeah.
Which school was it in Nebraska?
It was University of Nebraska, Lincoln.
Oh, the Cornhuskers.
The Cornhuskers.
Nice.
Yes.
Did they take you to any football games, American football games?
Unfortunately, I didn't get to go to any, but I lived a couple meters away from the stadium, the Memorial Stadium, where all the games were kept. So I would see the crowds. They'd park where I lived, and they'd walk around, and that's how they'd get to the stadium. So I was pretty much in the throes of everything, but I didn't actually go to see a game. I watched it on TV.
Awesome.
The tickets were really hard to come by.
Of course.
Yeah.
Big time program.
Big.
How long were you there for?
I was there for 2 years. 2 years, and I was a part of I did my graduate studies there. I was also a graduate teaching assistant while I was there. They selected me as the graduate teaching assistant while I was there. So it was a really great experience.
Nice. So tell us about the process of applying for the Fulbright.
So I applied for Fulbright, as I mentioned, in 2011, where it was a paper-based application back then. I understand it's digital now.
Yep.
So I was a little intimidated by the application, I'll be honest with you, Bobby, because I had to get references, I had to document all of, do essays, I had to document all of my academic history, and I kind of fielded it out to persons who I knew at the time that, I was applying for this prestigious program, and someone's like, oh, they don't give it to people that study what you're studying. And I kind of was like, oh, maybe I shouldn't apply because I wouldn't get in because they don't give it to people studying actuarial science. But I did the interview, and I guess they loved me because they selected me for the program. And even I was so intimidated by it as I submitted my application even a little bit later than the deadline. I had it driving, I finished it, I had it in my car, I was driving around, and one day I was passing the embassy and I said, just drop it off, you don't know what can happen. And I'm really glad I did because it changed my life.
Wow. So tell us then a little bit about the program. What exactly is the Fulbright program in terms of what comes with it? Are there expenses paid? Like, how's that work?
Yeah, well, I applied because I was interested in doing graduate studies, and of course graduate studies in America is quite expensive.
Yes.
So I looked for scholarship programs, and I came across the Fulbright program in my research, and it was one of the top rated programs, and it offered it did have the option for a full scholarship. You weren't sure if you were going to get the full scholarship when you applied, but I applied anyway, and I said, wherever the Lord takes me, that's where I'll go. So I got through with a full scholarship, so it covered all of my tuition, and I also got a stipend every month. So in addition to my tuition being fully waived by University of Nebraska, I got a monthly stipend that helped to meet some of my living expenses, like my rent and food and stuff like that. It was more than enough to cover it. And then I said I was a graduate teaching assistant, so I got additional income there. So it worked out beautifully for me.
So it was a good experience.
Great experience. I met people from all over the world.
Tell us about your background prior to joining the Fulbright Graduate Student Program. What was your schooling like here, and where did you grow up?
I actually started school in New York, and I had to come back to Jamaica because my mom got ill, so I wasn't able to finish school over there. So I started at UE. I had to start over my undergraduate studies at University of the West Indies here in Jamaica, and I did 3 years of actuarial science. So I did a bachelor's of science in actuarial science at University of the West Indies, and then I took a break and kind of worked a little bit, and then I decided to apply for graduate school, and I ended up on the Fulbright program. Yeah.
I want to hear more about actuarial science. So are you the folks that if I'm getting insurance, you decide based off of math and statistics how likely it is that a fire is going to happen or something like that?
Right. So how likely it is you're going to die, how likely it is a fire is going to happen, how likely it is something is going to get stolen. So we do pricing of risk pricing basically. So we price risks.
your blog is on financial sensibility.
Yes.
What happened that made you do the switch, or did you make a switch from actuarial science into talking about finances?
No, they're closely related. Even though I have both of my degrees in actuarial science, I actually work in banking. So I get exposed a lot to the nuances of, how to apply for a loan, how to get car insurance, things like that people are not necessarily comfortable or have a lot of information about.
Right.
And I found the need. One day somebody was asking about how to get a mortgage, and there was just no information out there on what a mortgage costs or how much it is that you'd have to pay a lawyer, things like that. So I put together an article, and that's how my site started. And then once that article was posted, I got so much feedback, like, oh my God, this is great, nobody knew this is great information to have. And it got kind of viral, and people started to follow me online. And then I said, people probably don't know a lot about how to manage their finances. So I found that there was a need there, and I tried to fill that need.
Back on the Fulbright, what is something that Fulbright did for you that you did not expect going into the program?
Wow, there's so many things, but the key things is that it exposed me to so many different people and different cultures and persons from countries that I had never heard of before I left Jamaica. Like I met someone from Burkina Faso the first time that we went to our gateway orientation, which is as soon as you leave Jamaica, that's where the first step is your gateway orientation. I did mine in Miami. And they put you up with other Fulbrighters from all across the world. All of you descend in one city for a couple of days, and I got exposed to understanding more about their cultures, a real immersion program in different people's cultures. And then eventually, when I ended up in Nebraska, one of the things that really changed, or I think really impacted my experience, was being able to meet Warren Buffett. I was selected because that's where he lives. He lives in Nebraska, right? So I got to meet him as part of one of my courses. The students who got the top 10 students in the course get to meet him, and I placed in the top 10.
Right.
So they arranged us to spend the day with him. We spent the entire day with him at dinner and lunch and everything, and he gave us some really solid advice. So that was one of the best experiences I had as a Fulbrighter.
Is he just like a normal dude walking around that just happens to have billions of dollars?
Yeah, if you saw his house, it's a really humble. He's had the same house for 40 years. It's a really humble house in Omaha, Nebraska. Yep. Really humble guy, and he gives really great advice. It was a great experience for me.
That's a really cool experience.
Yeah.
And then what was it like when you came back? Since you've been back from your Fulbright experience, how have you been involved in being a Fulbright alum here in Jamaica?
Yeah, I was a part of the board of the U.S. Exchanges Alumni, which kind of is an umbrella alumni group for all of the exchange programs. So Fulbright is one. There's Humphrey. There are several others that we formed an umbrella association for all of those programs. And I was on the board. I was the vice president of the U.S. Exchanges Alumni Association. So I tried to give back and try to spread the information about the Fulbright program, which is such a great program that people should apply for, that many people probably don't even know about. And I've participated in interviewing Fulbrighters coming on board and things like that. So I really want persons to know about the program and get active in it and apply.
So your experience didn't end when you left Nebraska?
No, not at all. I'm still, the group of us in that, I was on the previous board, and we're still really close. We were talking up to this morning. Nice. We share our experiences, where we know everything that's going on in the country. We share our ideas, we share our thoughts. One of us, one of the members of the alumni, she's now in Dubai, and she's telling us about her experience in Dubai. So yeah, you get exposed and connected to people that you wouldn't have otherwise.
How old were you when you left?
I was 26, 27.
So let's just say that there's a 26-year-old out there, and someone tells them, Fulbright's not going to take actuarial sciences or whatever. name your
program
specialty. What would be, if someone is thinking about applying, what are some tips, or why should someone apply for Fulbright?
Well, my advice to them would be just do it. Just do it. Just apply. It takes a little bit of planning, I would say. So you need references. You need to get your GRE done. I'm not sure if they still have that requirement, but I had to get my GRE done. So just put the steps forward. If you think that you want to experience a program that will change your life, and you can put in the dedication and the work to do the exams, put together the application, get your references, why not? Go for it. You never know what can happen. It could change your life.
What were some of the things that the downsides of being away from home for 2 years?
Well, of course, you miss your friends and your family, but Skype was around. Zoom wasn't, but Skype was around back then. Skype was a big thing that we would use, and yeah, you miss your friends and your family. But I mean, I was so engrossed in just living in that experience, and I traveled home frequently. So every holiday I could travel. I traveled home, and my sister lived in Oregon, so I'd visit her as well. So I really went all over America when I was there.
2 questions. What food did you miss the most from Jamaica?
Oh, boy.
And then what food in the United States did you like having the most?
Okay, the first one, ackee and saltfish. It was not very easy to get that in Nebraska, I must say, or anything Jamaica.
Not
really.
A ton of Caribbean stores in Lincoln?
No. Unfortunately, there was probably one in Omaha. We'd have to drive to Omaha, which is about 45 minutes away. So not a ton in Lincoln. But I was the resident Jamaican chef, and there was a Trinidadian person that was on the program too. So we would, take turns cooking. There is a burger, and I have been dreaming about this burger for about 10 years now. It's called the Husker Burger, and they sell it in a restaurant that's right beside school. I've been dreaming about that burger ever since I left. It's so great. It had black beans. It had oh gosh, it was just great. So that's what I miss about the food in America. That burger specifically.
That is awesome. So what was like your favorite part about just in general the Fulbright experience?
Well, my favorite part was, of course, getting my degree completed for free. And good perk. Yep. And just the experiences and the networking. And we also got to go to Washington, D.C. They paid for us to fly to Washington, D.C. A year into the program, and that was another great experience. We went to the museums, we saw the White House. It was, I couldn't have asked for something more life-changing. I didn't know how it was going to change my life, but I just got engrossed in the experience and was really excited about it from the beginning to the end. I was sad that it ended, but it did teach me a lot, and I'm a better person for joining.
Well, for those of you at home who are thinking about trying to become a Fulbright Scholar, Fulbright Graduate Student Program, applications for the 2023 Fulbright Graduate Student Program are open until June 17th. And the 2023 Fulbright Faculty Development Program are open until May 31st. You can visit our website. You can see it below for full details on the Fulbright programs and how to apply. How can folks at home find out about your blog and anything else on social media?
I am on Twitter at Miss Gillian, MSGILLYJ, and my website is Financial Sensibility, CENTSIBILITY.
Again, very clever.
financialsensibility.com.
Well, thank you so much for joining us today. It's really, really great to hear about your experience, and thank you so much for being a part of the alumni program as well.
Yeah, thank you for having me, Bobby. It was great to speak with you about the Fulbright program.
Well, that was my interview with Gillian Jackson. Up next, you're going to have a look at an interview I pre-recorded with Jason Fraser. He is the former country representative for USAID Jamaica. Have a look at our interview. Okay, we are here with the United States Agency for International Development, other known as USAID, the country representative for Jamaica, Jason Fraser. Welcome.
Thank you.
Now listen, USAID is celebrating 60 years of partnership this year in Jamaica. What are some of the accomplishments that we could talk about over the agency's time in 60 years here?
Well, thanks for asking, and I'm glad to be on the show. First of all, we dubbed this the 60-60, right? So 60 years of USAID, but also 60 years of Jamaica's independence. And so there's a lot to talk about, a lot of accomplishments over the years. Some of the things that come to mind right away is that we've spent over $1.4 billion in Jamaica since 1962. Wow. And we've been doing that.
U.S. dollars.
U.S. dollars.
Yep.
All not in one place, but in various sectors, like in education and criminal justice reform, and of course in economic growth and health and education. And so we've had a number of different successes in different areas. One of the areas that comes to mind right away is in the area of education. Right. We've been able to help over 1 million students from basic education addition to tertiary education, to be able to get an education, to be able to get life skills that would help them achieve. And we've done that, not just in Jamaica, but all over the world. And so we see that as sort of the bread and butter of what USAID has done. Of course, more recently, we've had to have a lot of interventions around COVID-19, but we've also had health interventions going back to, over 20 years or so in HIV/AIDS. And a lot of our work has been focused around helping people to obviously become more healthy, to get antiretroviral medication, to really be able to live a full life, even with HIV/AIDS. So as part of the PEPFAR team here, we've been really working hard on that over the last 20 years. Other interventions have been in the area of crime and violence and working with youth, youth empowerment programs, youth programs to get people and get young people away from crime and violence. So it's really been a comprehensive USAID program. And I haven't even talked about other things like agriculture and other things that we don't really do today, but we've done in the past that has really helped Jamaica.
So you mentioned some of the successes that USAID has had here in Jamaica over the past 60 years. Yeah. What are some of the challenges that you face being here?
Well, I think, some of the challenges are just, as I mentioned, the one that obviously sticks out in everyone's mind today is COVID-19.
Sure.
That's been a real challenge because that threw a curveball to all of us. We were not planning for it. We weren't expecting it. No one was. And so that's been something that we had to go out and get additional resources in order to support the government of Jamaica in its COVID-19 interventions. We were able to get about $7 million for Jamaica, which is the most that any U.S. government agency has been able to come up with. I think we have about 12 million altogether as U.S. government agencies. But the idea really isn't really just to give the government money, was to really think about how we can make a difference in the areas in which we're programming. And so we were being able, for instance, to help establish and to equip an emergency operations center up in the Montego Bay area. And then we had interventions with students in terms of getting them laptops so that they can actually attend school while not being physically in school. That's something that a lot of people don't think about. When they think about COVID-19, they think about just the health interventions, but there's also other interventions that need to happen. So those are some of the challenges, and we sat down as a team to really think about how we can do that. Other things over the years, I've only been here for 4 years, but over the years, obviously, we're impacted just like everyone else by economic conditions, the external environment, and, wars,
Sure.
and other things that cuts to our budget, that makes us have to sort of rethink our programming. But those are sort of the natural challenges that we have as a development agency.
And the 60 years coincides with 60 years of independence for Jamaica as well. And of course, USAID has been an integral part of the growth of the nation. But what is your hope for USAID looking forward, and what is your hope for Jamaica looking forward?
Well, I think for USAID, I hope that at some point that we would. I always tell people this when I come in, and sometimes my staff looks at me a little bit askance. I said, our job is to be out of a job. Our job as USAID is to actually one day stop providing aid and development assistance, and because that will be a testament to our success. And I've been able to do that in other countries where I've been. I served, as you may or may not know, in Botswana, where we closed the program there because Botswana had achieved middle income status.
Wow.
And they actually became a donor country to other countries.
How does one get to that status?
Well, I think it's a lot of it is, really focused government, focused private sector, citizens working together to solve the problems in their own country. Botswana had that. Jamaica has that as well. Jamaica has a Vision 2030 plan. I think it's not my plan, it's their plan. And our plan, our country development cooperation strategy, is linked to their plan. So it's meant to support what they see as their objectives. So I don't look at it from my perspective as what I want for Jamaica. It's what Jamaicans want for themselves and how we can support that. And at the end of the day, my hope for USAID in Jamaica is that we have an office that continues to support Jamaica in the implementation of their plans. And whatever that looks like, it's probably not going to be for me to say, but probably for my successors to say, what that would look like going forward.
You mentioned you've been here for 4 years, and I know that you are your time here is coming to an end. You've been with USAID for 21 years.
Right.
You're retiring.
Yeah.
Right. What are some things that you enjoyed the most about being here in Jamaica?
Well, I mean, I like getting to know the people, engaging with government, engaging with some of our partners, NGO partners particularly. Jamaica to me is a very dynamic place, culturally, intellectually. The place has a vibe to it. Everyone knows that.
Yep.
I've enjoyed obviously going to the North Coast as much as I could, and just really beginning to explore different parts of Jamaican culture and Jamaican cuisine, and there are lots of parts of Jamaica that I like. But I think one of the things that I can honestly say is that I just enjoy the honesty and forthrightness of the Jamaican people. I think Jamaicans are very sincere and very direct about what they think they can accomplish as a country, and I've enjoyed that aspect of the job the most.
Where are you headed to next?
So I'm headed into the private sector. I am going to be, and I will announce this at another date, but I have an opportunity to really actually work within the development field, but from the private sector perspective.
Right. What would you say to your team here at USAID now that you're leaving after 4 years? What do you have for the locals? What's the footprint anyway in terms of like staff and?
Well, we have a little bit over 20 right now, around 23 or 24 people.
Right.
Our staffing footprint has up to 29 people, but we don't have that many people on staff currently. I think for my staff, one of the things is just to keep doing what they're doing. I think they're doing a great job. They've always done a great job. I think, we are not a large office like in some other places, so it's a lot of work for everybody. But I would say just keep doing what we're doing. There are results that are being had. We saw recently, for instance, Jamaica was very much interested in developing a catastrophe bond here in Jamaica, because it's Jamaica's at risk for natural disasters and things like that, and it hasn't thank God it didn't happen during the 4 years that I've been here, but it happens quite a bit in the Caribbean. Right. So one of the things that we were really focused on was how to support them in that effort. And so we've invested about $5 million, and we were able to leverage over $185 million with the World Bank and other donors in order to support them. And so that to me is like an example of what we need to be doing. Not necessarily putting in the bulk of the resources, but putting in some resources, providing technical assistance, and really beginning to think about like how we can leverage other resources, private sector, other donors, and of course the government and the people of Jamaica to solve some of their development challenges.
Well, we're going to move on to a section we call the rapid fire section. And there's just 4 quick questions. Sure. And so just answer quickly.
Okay.
By the way, your team put this together.
Okay.
Right? So if you don't, blame
boy.
it. Right.
I don't know. All right.
Let you lead up. You prefer the city or the country?
I prefer the country.
Are you a singer or a dancer?
Okay, that's hard. I used to be a dancer, but I probably am a better singer.
What are you dancing to? What's your dancing style?
My dancing style, I grew up in the 80s, right?
Okay,
so there was a lot of popping, a lot of break dancing type things. But
you throw a little.
Well, I do that. I do that a little bit today. But my son looks at me and is like, "What are you doing?" I look like a geriatric. I don't know, whatever. But he doesn't. He doesn't really understand what I'm doing. But I said, look at the old videos. You'll see what it was like. Yeah.
What is your favorite Jamaican food?
Ooh, what's my favorite Jamaican food? Well, I like jerk chicken. I really do like jerk chicken. I like escovitch fish as well. I like a lot of Jamaican food. Yeah.
What advice would you give to your younger self?
What advice would I give to my younger self? Ooh, that's interesting. I would say. That's a very tough question. Can I get back to that one?
Yeah,
okay, let me get back to that. Let me think about that one.
But listen, it's been a great 60 years.
Yeah.
Thank you for your service to USAID and your 4 years with USAID here in Jamaica. Your 21 years with USAID in total. We're coming to the end of the interview here, and finally, do you have any final words to the Jamaican folk as you set off into the sunset and head back home to the U.S.?
Well, I just want to say I want to thank Jamaica and the Jamaican people for a wonderful 4 years. I think we've been able to accomplish a lot together over these 4 years, even with COVID. We've worked on a number of different initiatives, as I mentioned, just over the last few minutes.
Sure.
And I think that it's important that we continue to focus on those things. But the vision for Jamaica doesn't come from the U.S. government, doesn't come from Jason Fraser. It comes from the Jamaican people, and we're here to support you, and we'll continue to be here to support you.
Well, it's been a great 60 years, and we're hoping for another great 60 to come. Thank you so much, the USAID Country Representative, Jason Fraser. Thank you for being on the show.
Thank you.
Well, thank you again, Jillian, for being on our show today.
It was my pleasure.
And again, for those of you at home that are interested in applying for Fulbright, I'll give you the dates again. Applications for the 2023 Fulbright Graduate Student Program are open until June 17th. And for the 2023 Fulbright Faculty Development Program, those are open until May 31st. And again, our website is listed below. Thank you all. That's all we have for the show today. Thank you, Jillian. Thank you all for watching at home, and have a great day.